Is an introduction really necessary for someone we all know so well?
What's up, everybody? We are hanging out with a good buddy of mine this evening, working on a 2JZ swap project that he has been wanting to get done. So we wanted to get on here and do a little kind of build series for him for the YouTube channel, and just kind of what we're going to try to get into after work and some weekend stuff until we get this car done. But he's already got his 2J put together back there. He's working on getting that. We've got the car, got motor mounts and stuff mocked up, and for the most part got the car pretty well ready to kind of get mocked up with the engine and the transmission. So tonight's goal is going to be, we're actually getting ready to cut the bell housing off of this trans, and we're going to use this pretty cool billet piece that he's come up with to do the adapter instead of doing the big bell housing deal. So we're essentially going to cut the bell housing off of his manual trans he already has and install this whole kit here, and I'll do a full video on how to do that for anybody that might be interested in it, and we'll walk you guys through on the process for that. But for right now, I'm going to set the phone up for a time lapse, and y'all can watch me cut this bell housing off of this transmission here and get everything clean, prepped, and ready so we can do the billet adapter for the front and get it ready to mate to the 2J. So you all stay tuned. Thanks. All right, guys, just like that, we are back. So that went a little smoother than I thought it was going to. So essentially, this is what we have. We went through and cut the excess part of the bell housing that we're no longer going to be using for this project. Went ahead and got it cut off. So for anyone, I'll take this over here for a second. So if you are finding yourself wanting to do a project like this, basically there's plenty of information and videos on the internet on what to do and how to do it pertaining to use this billet plate. So essentially, if you look at your bell housing where your bolts are, you've got two rings that are preform fit on the casting. So you just find your second ring, and you literally just go right on the back side of that and follow that around, and it cuts it off completely straight all the way around. So once we got that done, got the bell housing cut off, we came back through and went in and deburred all around the old part where the bell housing was cut off, and now we will get everything clean, prepped, get everything painted for the color that he's wanting to do on the parts and such. We'll get all that cleaned, prepped, painted, and then once the paint and everything's cured and everything's cleaned and prepped, we'll come back in and do another video on doing the billet adapter install on the trans, and then we will show it getting put on the 2J. So he's been back here cleaning up all the ports on the exhaust side to get our new titanium exhaust studs put in. So he's been working on that currently, getting that done while we have been knocking out the bell housing. So we'll move on, get this thing cleaned up, get it prepped, taped off, and painted the color that he wants to do. And then we will drop a video right in behind this to keep the flow going on doing the billet adapter and getting it bolted to the back of the 2J and then getting it set in frame. We've already got the car pretty well prepped for the most part. We're going to try to relocate the fuse box and some wiring and get that out of the way for a little bit cleaner install. And we'll do we'll just keep on with the series on this, and hope you all enjoy the content and something out of what we normally are doing as far as at the shop or with the race program. So stay tuned, and this will turn out to be a pretty cool project for him, and just thankful I get to join the ride. So we'll catch you guys in a little bit. See you. What's up, everybody? We are back again for another tune-in episode on the 2J build with Jessie. Last night worked on getting the trans bell housing cut apart. Got everything kind of went over last night. We are now going to start the process of getting the build adapter put on in front of the trans. So what we're going to do now is kind of go through. We'll be removing this. I'll set up a time lapse and we will remove this, go through and clean everything, get everything prepped and ready, and then we will install the billet piece. So stay tuned. We'll catch y'all in a minute. All right, guys, I'm gonna hop back on here real quick. We had just a little issues trying to figure out exactly which one of these we needed. So we went through and actually found exactly what it is. So there's only a couple of videos we found that were actually informative. So what I'm gonna do here is whenever you go to do this install yourself, if anybody watches this that's gonna end up doing it themselves. So on this plate, they come with these adapter rings for the spacers. So you have one that's really thin and one that's a little thicker. So you'll have one for a 90 millimeter bearing, a 95 millimeter bearing, and then sometimes these transmissions come equipped with a 100 millimeter bearing. So with that being said, in reference to said shims and the bearing, if you come in here, these sit right inside here. So essentially these are the exact same diameter as the outside circumference of the bearing. So with a little bit of measurements and converting from inches over to millimeters, we actually found that this is a 100 millimeter bearing. So with that being said, being a 100 millimeter bearing, on these build adapter plates, you do not run either one of the shims for the 100 millimeter. You only run 90, 95 millimeter pertaining to the bearing, depending on what year transmission you actually have and what bearing you have. So for anybody watching this that maybe end up doing this themselves, I'm just trying to be informative as we go. You'll want to measure from the outside to outside center of the bearing, and that will give you your conversion to see if you have the 90, 95, or the 100 millimeter. From the research that we've done just a minute ago, the 100 millimeter is the most common. So if you all are doing this, again, 90 millimeter, 95 millimeter. If you have 100 millimeter, it does not take a shim at all. It is a exact fit to the billet adapter. So without further ado, we'll get back to work and catch y'all next. All right, guys, back real quick. I just wanted to touch base. We got this in, got the countersunk bolts in. They will be a H5 there. So these torque to, all your countersunk bolts torque to 30 foot-pounds. Make sure you go through and get those seated about 10 foot-pounds first, and then go through clockwise and do your 30 foot-pounds. So now we're going to put this piece in, and it comes with these two bolts. These here are about 6 to 8 foot-pounds. It doesn't take a whole lot. You will actually probably fracture this deal here. So we're going to get that done and get back with it. All right, guys, just like that, we have got the bell housing done. Everything's torqued to spec. I'll go through and do like a little walkthrough of this real quick, just so I can touch on everything. So once we got the bell housing cut off, second ring on the bell housing on the outside edge, cut it all the way around, get everything clean, prepped how you want to. Then your billet adapter in the center. Once you get there, there's a gasket behind there. We used the metal gasket and some RTV high temp just for extra measure. So then once we got that, then you come to your countersink bolts. Once you get to those are 30 foot-pounds. So, well, let me back up 1 second. So once you get to your center piece before you slide that in, this is where the bearing shims, you got a 90 and 95 millimeter, and the 100 millimeter does not need a shim. So if you have the most common 100 millimeter like what we had bearing on the trans for the input, then you need no shims. So moving on, going forward, torque specs for the countersink bolts are 30 foot-pounds. Then you come here, you've got two M10 bolts that hold this sleeve collar on for the hydraulic portions and for the slate. Those are 6 foot-pounds. You will torque those in. Be very, very careful with this. This is cast. It will crack and bust if you're not careful. So then moving forward, this is the bell housing that we have adapted to put on the 2J. And these bolts are supplied with the kit. These are a 15 millimeter. Those will torque to 40 foot-pounds. So if you're following along with this and you're trying to do something like this yourself, or something as a hobby that you all are wanting to do, we're going to try to give as much detail going along as we can. This is our first time as well. So, but anyway, thanks for hanging out for this portion. So now the next step in the process is going to be, we're going to get this fit up. We're going to get the clutch mounted on the 2J. Get everything prepped for that, and then we'll go ahead and get the transmission strapped to the engine and get it ready to go in the car. So we'll catch you on a little bit and keep this project moving. So thanks. See you.